He ordered wine in flawless Italian. She answered in the same tongue, without hesitation. The chandelier above dripped light like liquid gold. Silk drapes framed floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking Manhattan's glittering skyline. At table 7, Julian Thorne adjusted his cufflinks, platinum custom, worth more than most cars. Billionaire, tech visionary. Man who never raised his voice because money spoke for him. He glanced at the wine list, then at the young black waitress in a crisp white apron. Un bicchiere di Barolo, per favore, he said smoothly, testing her. A common trick of his, ordering in foreign languages to watch staff fumble. But she did not blink. She tilted her head slightly, eyes steady. Voice calm as still water. Certamente, signore. Il 2016 di Vietti? A note di ciliegia, tabacco e un finale lungo di liquirizia. Julian froze. His fingers stopped mid-air, hovering over his phone. The ice in his untouched water glass cracked with a sound like a bone snapping. Her accent, perfect. Not textbook, lived in. Roman, maybe, with a whisper of coastal warmth. He had not heard that cadence since his mother, before the accident, before the hospital, before he buried her alone in a rain-soaked cemetery outside Naples. His throat tightened. He studied her face now, not just her uniform, but her eyes. Deep brown, intelligent, guarded. A scar traced her left eyebrow, faint but deliberate, like a brush stroke from a life that refused to be erased. Where did you learn Italian? He asked, voice lower than intended. She placed the wine bottle on the table with quiet precision. My nonna taught me, she said. In Trastevere, before she passed. Julian's breath hitched. Trastevere. That narrow alley behind Piazza Santa Maria. The tiny apartment with geraniums on the sill. His mother's childhood home. He had stood there once, years ago, hoping to feel close to her. No one answered his knock. Now, here stood a woman who spoke his mother's dialect. With his mother's rhythm. Your nonna, he whispered. What was her name? The waitress paused. Her hand trembled. Just once, before she steadied it on the bottleneck. Elena Rossi. Julian went pale. Elena Rossi. His mother's maiden name. Impossible. He had no siblings. No cousins. No living relatives in Italy, or so he thought. She met his gaze, and for the first time, her mask slipped. A flicker of pain, recognition, fear. You look like him, she said softly. My father. The room tilted. The clink of distant silverware faded. All Julian heard was his own pulse, a drumbeat of truth crashing through. Decades of silence. His father had left Italy young, had never spoken of a daughter left behind. And now she stood before him, pouring wine like it was just another Tuesday. But nothing would ever be ordinary again. Julian did not speak. For a long moment, the hum of the restaurant faded into silence. Only the soft clink of her wine key against the bottle remained. Then, slowly, he reached into his jacket, not for his wallet, but for a worn leather photo holder, creased at the edges, kept close for 20 years. He opened it. A black and white picture. A young Italian woman with the same eyes, the same quiet strength. My mother, he said, voice thick. Elena Thorne, born Elena Rossi. The waitress, his half-sister, stared at the photo. Her breath caught, tears welled, but she did not look away. She wrote to him, she whispered. Every year, until she died. He never answered. Julian's chest ached. His father had hidden this truth, buried it under boardrooms and billion-dollar deals. But blood remembers, language remembers, love, even abandoned, leaves echoes. He pushed his untouched wine toward her. Sit, he said gently. Please, she hesitated, then slid into the chair across from him. No titles, no CEO, no waitress, just two strangers bound by the same ghost. I never knew, he said, but I want to know you. She looked out the window, at the city lights, at the life she built alone, then back at him. Your accent, she said with a small, trembling smile. It's terrible. He laughed, really laughed, for the first time in years. And in that laugh, grief and grace met. The next morning, Julian canceled his 9 a.m. board meeting. Instead, he walked into the restaurant before opening, carrying 2 cups of espresso and a key to a small apartment he just bought near Trastevere. For when you're ready to visit, he said. She took the key, held it like a promise. And for the first time in her life, she did not feel invisible. She felt found.